Am I the a-hole for not allowing my husband and stepson to make everything retroactively equal? I was married to a wonderful man for 10 years. He passed away in a car accident when our children were 6 and 4. When I remarried 5 years later, my new husband had an 11-year-old son. So our children are now his son 15, my son's 15, 13, and our daughter 3. His parents set up a trust fund for his first son and for our daughter. I asked if they were doing anything for his 2 step-kids, and he said it was unfair to ask them to set money aside for kids that just came into the family. I accepted his answer, because my older kids have money from their dad's life insurance, so they have a good nest egg already. My first husband's parents are great people, and I've accepted my stepson and my daughter as bonus grandkids. They have made an effort to treat them well, and always include them in gifts for the family and on their birthdays and Christmas. My parents have also made an effort to be nice, but they're more standoffish with my stepson. They have a cordial relationship, and always send him gifts and invite him along on family events. My parents just sold their farm and are splitting the proceeds amongst all of my siblings and I. All the grandkids are also getting some money. The amount that my 2 sons and my daughter are receiving is about 5 times the amount that is in a trust fund that my stepson and daughter got from my husband's parents. My husband is now saying that it isn't fair that 3 of the kids are getting so much more. I said that it wasn't my money and that my parents could decide for themselves how it should be split up. He thinks that all the money for the kids should be pooled and split evenly. I refuse to even try and get into the legality of it. It is literally not my money. He says that I'm being an a-hole for singling out my stepson, but I just keep saying it isn't my decision. I approached my parents and they said that the most they would do is split up my daughter's money with him since they are half brother and sister. That would mean that she gets less than her brothers. I just want to leave everything alone. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. So your new husband thinks your kids don't deserve his parents' money, but his kids do deserve your parents' money? Am I reading this correctly? No, he wants to pool all the money and split it evenly. But he only wants to pool the money now that your children will be receiving a much more abundant amount. Where was the offer to pool the money previously? He was complicit with the rules and asked you to be, so he should be complicit with the rules set forth by your parents. It's not your money to dictate who should receive it. When your kids are older, they can share as they see fit, or not. Info. Are they giving you and your husband the money to dole out to the kids? Or are they setting up a trust for each child that they can access when they hit a certain age? It is all being done through lawyers. I do not have access to the money set aside for my kids. It isn't real inheritance. It is a trust fund set aside for their futures. My money is also going into a trust where I can draw on the interest. As a farm, but it is really a farm corporation and it is being sold to an even larger one. But it is several full sections of prime agricultural land. They are keeping like 1,000 acres and setting up a wildlife sanctuary with only family cabins on it. It is a big deal, but I just want it over. The point more becomes that it really doesn't matter what your husband thinks or wants if the 2 of you don't have access to the trust. As in, you're not trustees. Does it suck? Kinda, yeah. Blended families have challenges, and this is one of them. But he needs to look in the mirror and rationalize how it was okay when it was his kids getting money and now it suddenly isn't. But ultimately, it doesn't matter since the only ones that can make changes are those in charge of the trust. Not the a-hole and big red flag about hubby. He's moving the goalposts here. He told you that your kids would be shafted in the deal from his folks and expected you to be okay with that, which you are. But now that the son is being shafted by the deal from your folks, it's suddenly not fair? Not how it works, bro. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my stepdaughter spend a night in jail instead of bailing her out right away? My wife, 38 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 6 years. We have 2 kids, 8 and 5. My wife also has a daughter, Mary, 18, from before we got together. Mary's in her senior year of high school and lives with us. She will go see her bio dad 2 weekends a month, but due to her extracurricular activities, it is not always an every other weekend thing. Since bio dad lives about 2 hours away, Mary works out times with her dad for her to visit him and she drives herself there. This past weekend, my wife took our 2 younger kids to visit her sister who lives about 3 hours away. Before my wife left, Mary told us that she was going to visit her dad that weekend. I was going to stay home to get some work done on some home projects that had been neglected over the holidays. So on Friday, after everyone else had left, I kicked back and took advantage of the very rare opportunity of having an empty house to myself. I bought a nice bottle of bourbon, visited our local dispensary, and bought myself a nice big steak. About 3 a.m., I was awoken by a phone call. Any parent knows that a phone call at that time of night is a nightmare situation, so I immediately answered. It was my wife, and she told me that Mary had been arrested and had just called her from our local jail. Apparently, she lied about going to her dad's house and had instead attended a party. The party got busted and Mary panicked and tried to run. Of course, the cops caught her and arrested her. My wife said that the police would allow me to go get Mary right away instead of keeping her in jail. I told my wife that I had been drinking earlier and was probably not safe to drive, let alone drive to a police station. I told her that I would pick Mary up first thing in the morning. My wife yelled at me for being irresponsible by drinking to that point in case of an emergency. I told her that I was home by myself, and everyone else in the family was supposed to be hours away, so I essentially had zero responsibility for anyone besides myself. She eventually calmed down enough to see my side. The next morning, I went and got Mary right when I woke up. When I saw her, it was obvious she had been crying a lot, and she didn't say a word to me on the way home. She immediately went to her room when we got home and didn't come out the entire day. The next day, when my wife got home, Mary was still in her room. My wife talked to her and then came to talk to me. She told me that both her and Mary are disappointed in me that I made her spend a night in jail instead of getting her right away. She said Mary is traumatized by the whole thing. I told her good, maybe next time she won't lie and do stupid things. I reminded her that Mary's an adult now, and she has to get used to facing consequences of her actions, and this should be a very clear reminder of what those consequences could be. My wife said that the lesson could have been made without making her spend a night in jail. Arrested for what? Cops breaking up parties aren't looking to fill holding cells with teenagers for underage drinking or smoking weed. Even assault cases walk out after booking in most places. You're the a-hole regardless. If you were drunk, then take an Uber and go get her. They charged her with underage drinking, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. We are looking into a lawyer because I expect we can get some of the charges reduced or dropped completely. We live in a smaller town, population is under 10K, and we don't have Uber here. Not the a-hole. I don't see any part of this situation that would be improved by you showing up drunk and hide to a police station in the middle of the night. This comment is all that's needed. I don't know where OP is. But in Canada, while it is legal, you still can't drive under the influence of cannabis, let alone alcohol. This is a recipe for disaster for the both of them. Exactly. Wife's disappointment is so misplaced. She sees OP's side, but still wants the outcome to have been different. That's not an OP. Not the a-hole. If she was so traumatized by spending the night in jail, then why didn't your wife contact her actual father after you told her you were not sober enough to drive down to bail her out? Surely 2 hours away is not far when his daughter was in jail. Right? Like, where is Biodad in all of this? Next story. Am I the a-hole for reprimanding my adult son and telling him to get over himself? My son has 2 boys ages 16 male and 12 male. Their mom, and my son's first wife, died suddenly 10 years ago. My son and the boys were lost. But 8 months later, my son met a woman and fell very hard and fast for her. He admitted to his dad and I that he felt like everything could be perfect again. The boys could have a mom present and he could have a wife again. We warned him that it might not be that easy, but he was so happy again and appeared to have lightened after meeting her, so we tried not to say too much. His oldest son, we'll call him Cole, did not take to my son's now second wife Emma very easily. My son and Emma married 2 years after his first wife died. Emma had lived with them 6 months prior to the wedding. The youngest, Jamie, started to call Emma mom almost immediately, but he was so little with no memories of his mom. Cole was different. He did not want to call her mom and did not like the idea of her being his second mom. He was adamant he did not want her like that. It became especially clear during the wedding that things would not go well. My son and Emma planned a small exchange between her and the boys. Meant to be a sweet moment to celebrate the joining of the family, but Cole wanted no part in it and sat out while his brother and Emma took part. After that, we suggested to our son that everyone could do with some therapy and he listened. It's clear that our son has grown to resent Cole for not embracing Emma and being part of the family the way he wanted him to be. Their relationship is incredibly stained, and Cole is polite but very distant with Emma. He treats her more like he does his teachers than he does the rest of the family, and it angers our son. I have seen my son visibly frustrated when Cole calls her Emma, or when he talks about his mom. A few days ago, my son was ranting and raving about how Cole is a stubborn brat, and how he will never be able to understand why he can't accept Emma as a mom too. He said that adoptive kids don't dig in their heels this way and refuse to accept a new parent, that most are so grateful to have someone. He said it's disrespectful to him, Emma, and to Jamie, that it undermines the family they all want to have, and Cole refuses to even try. Also that he wishes Cole was more like Jamie, that Jamie handled things right, that Cole is disrespectful to him as his dad by not listening, and he also said he finds it hard to look at Cole and feel the same as he does for Jamie because all of this. I reprimanded him for talking like that about Cole. I told him he needs to get over himself and accept his son, and find a way to accept that neither Cole nor Jamie's way is inherently right, and it's about what's right for them as individuals. I also told him Cole can feel every bit of that anger, and one day he will lose his son if he can't accept the truth for Cole and let go of all this frustration. My son told me I will never understand and should not speak to him like he's a child. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. When Cole is 18, I fully expect Cole will need a place to stay. Make sure your door's open to him. It's so sad knowing it could get that bad, as Cole sounds like he's been respectful of Emma, even if he doesn't think of her as his mother, and he's more than allowed to do that. I feel so bad for him. It seems like he is being pushed to call her mom. If he doesn't want to call her mom or see her as his mom, I don't see the issue as long as he respects her and isn't outright mean, etc. And if we are being honest, when kids are that age, when you push them to do something like that, it will just make them rebel more. If Cole ever does get to the point of wanting to call her that, it needs to come naturally. But if he never gets to that point, that's okay too. You're definitely not the a-hole. Your son needed to hear it. It now just needs to absorb it, hopefully. If your son doesn't want to be spoken like a child, then he needs to stop acting like one. From your description, Cole is not disrespectful or mean to Emma. She is not his mother, and she will never be. But he is polite to her. That's all he needs to do. Your son is 100% wrong in this scenario, and in 2 years when Cole is 18, he will have nothing to do with his father. You stood up for your grandson. Looks like you are the only one in his corner. Not the a-hole. Children play pretend, and Opie's son is expecting Cole to pretend he never had a mother apart from Emma. That's pretty childish. Last story. Am I the a-hole for driving off when I saw that my fiancé brought her kids to our trip and told her that she was the one who ruined it? For months, my fiancé was busy with her kids and work, so she wanted us to go on a couple's trip, and I promised to make it happen this month. She was supposed to leave her kids, 4 and 7, with their father, but he had a death in the family and had to travel towns away. I went to pick her up on the day of the trip, but was surprised to see my stepkid standing there with her. I was confused, till she told me about the situation her ex had. I asked what she was supposed to do with the kids, and she suggested we take them along. I refused and reminded her of the kind of trip we planned. She said circumstances change, and she can't leave them behind nor find a babysitter so fast. I decided to just cancel, but she begged me not. I just proceeded to drive off, and the trip got cancelled and I went home. She left me some texts, basically blaming me for what I did, but I responded that she ruined the trip when she decided to bring the kids. She said those are her kids, and I shouldn't expect her not to prioritize them, which I respect, but that wasn't the point. Long story short, we had a fight and she is still upset with me and refused to answer my call or open the door for me. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted? Everyone sucks here. When you have kids, things can come up unexpectedly. You're going to need to accept that. The reason I say everyone sucks here is because she should have communicated with you as soon as she knew she'd have the kids. She shouldn't have waited until you showed up, ready to go off on a trip for 2. Together, you two could have decided how to handle things. But you also didn't need to react like that. I wouldn't want my young children around an adult who acts like he is taking his ball and going home. My immediate thought was, why didn't she tell him prior to him showing up ready to leave? She completely blindsided him, so I can understand him being upset. Did he react the right way? No. He could have civilly communicated and canceled the trip. But she could have also communicated the situation better. Exactly. Which makes it an everyone sucks situation. Except the kids, of course. I feel the worst for them. Can you even imagine? Sucks for them. But to add another level to all of this, I want to know who was footing the bill. He states he planned it, so is the full expense on him? If so, then was she expecting him to cover the additional cost for the kids? She tried to turn it into a family getaway, so it stands to reason she was expecting him to cover it completely. Not the a-hole. I'm a mom of 3, and this was an ambush. No reason she couldn't have called or texted. She wanted you to feel pressured. Mom here as well. I would have called the dude and told him. Yeah, she's definitely kind of a jerk here. The moment she found out the kids were staying, she should have said something. Not only did she not tell him to cancel the trip, she begged him not to, as if taking kids to a couple's trip is a reasonable ask. Not the a-hole.